nationwide calling for free. Uma, the smartphone for your home.
Ethan Couch, the Texas teenager who killed 4 people, paralyzed another teenager while driving drunk, will spend the next year in a rehab facility instead of a prison cell. His dad is paying the bill, which may run about $500,000. Couch is expected to get treatment at Newport Academy in California. Now, in 2009, Treatment magazine called it, quote, the most beautiful treatment facility in the industry that provides an environment of compassion and caring. It's clearly a top-of-the-line facility. It's treatment. There's equine-assisted psychotherapy. Each resident is assigned a horse to work with. There's also an on-site gym. There's mixed martial arts, yoga, meditation, individual nutritional counseling, cooking skills, certified organic chef. To a lot of people, may not sound like punishment. Jameson Monroe Jr. is co-founder of Newport Academy. He joins me now, along with Dr. Drew Pinsky, host of HLN's Dr. Drew on Call. Jameson, I appreciate you being on. First of all, your facility, nobody is in any way saying anything other than really nice things about your facility. I mean, I looked at a website. It looks top of the line. It looks like an amazing place. Ethan Couch was diagnosed with so-called affluenza by his psychologist. Have you, first of all, ever heard of that term? Do you buy that diagnosis?
Actually, Anderson, I don't buy that diagnosis. I don't believe in the term affluenza. What I would like to do is take a step back, and that's a very, very short statement that was made in that courtroom. And as we said earlier, we don't have all the notes from the courtroom. There were reporters in that courtroom, and I was in that courtroom. And other things that Dr. Miller described was that a child that has been diagnosed with a substance abuse problem, alcoholism, and addiction, someone who grew up in a dysfunctional family system with verbal, emotional, and physical abuse, and a kid that started abusing substances at 13 years old. And so I'd like to take a step back and say, you know, in a country where we allow alcohol and pharmaceutical companies to advertise and promote the use of drugs and alcohol, I really think we have it backwards if we keep just sending kids to jail if they're simply acting the way that the popular media in this country is telling them to. So if someone truly has a medical diagnosis, and because of the Mental Health Parity Act, we do know that alcohol and addiction are diseases, then I firmly believe that treatment is a right and not a privilege, and that everybody should have access to treatment if they truly have a diagnosis of substance abuse. And so, in this case, real quick, like we said earlier, you know, yes, he did kill people, but if this child would have not been under the influence of alcohol, this accident would have not happened.
Right. So I'm not contesting that this child may have a problem with alcohol, whether he's an addict or not. I have no idea. I'm not sure anybody does. But in terms of what actual treatment he will get, you see this then as the treatment he's going to get as alcohol-related or drug-related treatment. Because my understanding from your website is you've never actually treated somebody for a year. You've never actually had somebody like this who's basically going to be at your facility for a year. It's usually like a 90-day treatment, correct?
This is correct. The opportunity to treat someone for a year, though, is very appealing, seeing that pretty much all the data shows the longer someone stays in treatment, the higher the success rate and the better the outcome.
And to those people who, I mean, again, your facility looks beautiful. You know, it's got equine therapy. You have horses on site on like 6 acres. You've got one-on-one cooking skills, you've got nutritional counseling, you've got mixed martial arts lessons, you've got gym. I mean, honestly, it sounds like a place I would like to go to for a year and get some intensive therapy. I think everybody could probably use that. But is it right for somebody who has killed 4 people to be sent there after killing 4 people?
Right. So, you know, if I put 20-foot walls and barbed wire around the property, would that, you know, arguably change someone's opinion? I think what you're talking about, and what I hear other people talking about, is treatment versus incarceration, though, as well. Because regardless of where someone gets treatment, you know, the kid's not going to jail, and I think that's what people want, is an eye for an eye. They want justice. They're coming from a vengeful spirit and not from a transformational spirit.
But there are plenty of other kids, right? But there are plenty of other kids in this country who have committed similar crimes or even lesser crimes who do get sentenced to the juvenile justice system, where there are rehabilitational programs, but are clearly not able to pay for a program that's not in the juvenile justice system.
True, actually. Unfortunately, a lot of those are wrought with more crime and corruption. And actually, in a letter from the Assistant Attorney General in the state of Texas to Governor Rick Perry, One of the Texas detention centers, juvenile detention centers, documented over 1,000 youth-on-youth assaults in 2005.
Right, I don't think anybody believes that these are great facilities, but it is the reality for the vast majority. I do want to bring in Dr. Drew on this. Drew, what do you make of what Jameson is saying? Because, I mean, again, this facility seems like a very nice facility. That's not being contested.
Oh, it's a high-quality, no doubt high-quality facility, and unfortunately, it's a place he should have gone before he killed other people. Listen, when I'm dealing with addicts and alcoholics, which I did for 20 years, and in fact, I ran a program very similar to Mr. Monroe's. These are good programs. They have great outcomes, and he's absolutely right. The longer the treatment, the better the outcomes. But here's how I would speak to this young man had I had my hands on him before this terrible accident. Hey, something horrible is going to happen as a result of your alcoholism and your crappy attitude. You have to do something about this. I don't care what your parents say. We need to get you treatment. He needs to get into treatment, and God help you if you do something awful as a result of your disease. And when that comes down, it'll break my heart, but I'm going to stand back and let that axe fall. Okay, that's what we must do. And that's where everyone is so outraged. There is zero justice in this, and we'll have zero ability to say that sort of thing to anybody in the future. But Drew, because guess what? Before or after the horrible events, you'll get nice, cushy treatment either way.
Okay, Drew, but okay, that did not happen. Clearly, given that 4 people have been killed now, just to play devil's advocate, isn't it better to send this young man to get rehabilitation, intensive therapy and rehabilitation for a year or 2 than it is to send him to a prison? I mean, that's what his lawyers are arguing.
Yes. Better potential outcome for him in terms of there being a potential of him being rehabilitated. I actually agree with that. The problem is I don't know if this kid is motivated. We have no idea if he's remorseful. And by the way, 6 months of treatment, 12 months of treatment may not be nearly enough. We heard, though, the interview you did with the psychologist, that the judge can pull this and put him into prison at some point. I just throw down the gauntlet to Mr. Monroe and hope if this kid is resistant, you will do exactly that and report that to the judge, because you cannot mince around with this. If this kid who killed 4 people, let's not mince words here, he killed 4 people because of his alcoholism, because of his personality disorder. Yes, he came from a horrible family. Yes, he suffered from some syndrome where his money had an influence on the fact of this terrible case. But if he does not motivate, he does not participate, he needs to go back to prison.
So, Jameson, is that, I mean, what will happen? You see him staying there for how long?
So if, in fact, he ends up coming to Newport Academy, what has been prescribed by the courts and the psychologist is at least a year in treatment. And I really appreciate the comment about the fact that 2 years in rehab everyone can agree, is better than 2 years in prison, right?
Well, I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying, I mean, if you're looking at rehabilitation rather than punishment,
exactly.
if punishment, if you believe punishment should be part of this, as a lot of people do,
treatment.
They would argue then it's not better.
But for any kid that's coming to us that's on probation, I mean, first of all, we do have strict guidelines and rules. People can't just do what they want to whenever they want to. And so people have to follow our schedule and abide by our guidelines. And so, you know, Ethan, if he were to come to us, will have significant conditions placed upon him, not only by the court, but by Newport Academy. If he doesn't fully appreciate the opportunity he has and abide by those conditions, then he'll lose that opportunity, and we'll be responsible to report that to the court. And then, like Dr. Drew said,
to somebody who looks at your program, though, you know, and sees, wow, one-on-one nutritional counseling, mixed martial arts lessons, you get a horse, you get to care for the horse, you get to do yoga every day, you get to do meditation. I mean, it does sound like a spa-like, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely nothing about this will be easy, though. I mean, what you're dealing with here is a kid who's got severe emotional trauma prior to this accident. Now he has it even exacerbated. And so nothing about this is going to be easy. You know, the Newport Academy experience is designed, it's not to pamper, but to positively reinforce a new way of living that's going to build long-term sobriety and ideally reform in this child so that he can eventually become a contributing member of society and hopefully make a living amends for this atrocity that's occurred.
We'll see. Jameson Monroe, I appreciate your time. Dr. Drew Pinsky as well.